one more tool we use here is called reserve analysis. And reserve analysis is something we put for risks in the activity. And let's assume that I have an activity that is going to be done in the project, and this activity has some kind of risks. We have two kinds of risks in the project or in the project regarding cost. First, we have risks that need contingency reserves. And the second, we have risks that need management reserves. We will start talking about contingency reserves. Contingency reserves is an amount of money that we put aside beside the amount that we put for the cost of the activity to cover the known risks or the known unknowns. Here the unknowns means risks, or unknowns means the things that I don't know if they are going to happen or not. But at least I know them, or I know a list of them. What does that mean? That means if I have, for example, an activity that is going to be done in January, and we know that in January we are going to have 15 days of snow on average. So this information is for us a risk, because that 15 days is based on statistics. Are we going to have that? We don't know, so it is unknown. We're not sure that it is going to be snowing all January or 15 days of January. It might snow and it might not. And then it is something that is unknown for us. But it is known because we identified it from statistics. So it is known unknowns or known risks. This is the risk of snow, for example. And then for this risk of snow, we put, for example, we put a small amount of money. In the risk management, if we talk about it later, it is to cover the accepted identified risks, which have response strategies. So when we define the risks in the project, we can identify, there is one type of the risks called the accepted risks, or accepted acceptance strategy of risks. And then we have in this one, we identify the risk and we accept that it is going to happen anyway. We cannot do anything. We cannot postpone the project till spring or summer, for example. Then we accept that we are going to do the project. And then since we accept it, we need to put some amount of money as a response strategy. And this amount of money is called the reserve. This reserve can be a percentage or a fixed number. So I can say that because I am going to stop probably in January for 15 days out of 30, then I need to put aside a little amount of money for using, or for the extra cost of the manpower, or I am going to add more additives for concrete to not allow it to freeze or something like that. So this is the contingency reserve. This contingency reserve is included in the cost baseline. We'll talk about the cost baseline later, so it's not in this slide, but then the contingency reserve is included in this cost baseline. And it is visited while executing and documented. These two points are very important, because when I make the budget and I estimate the costs, I should clearly say what are the risk reserve amount. Because if we document this, we can go in the future and check, is in the future when there is more data about the project. So we can say, is it going to happen? Is this snow based on the latest information about the weather? Is it going to happen in January or no? Or for example, if there is a risk of increasing of the concrete quantity because of the waste of concrete when I am casting. So later on in the project, I can examine the waste of concrete while I am doing the job, and then I can revisit this while executing the project and see if I have the risk, the contingency reserve that I put for this risk is enough or not. So this is what we mean with revisiting this while executing. The second type of reserve that we have is called the management reserves. And the management reserves is used to cover the unknown unknowns. So it is used to cover the unknown risks in the project. What are unknown risks that I might have is all the things that I didn't expect to see in the project. We have a small amount, maybe not small, it is amount of money that is we put aside beside the budget to cover all those risks. This, for example, can be like the unseen work inside scope. When I do the scope of work, when I see the drawings and I estimate the costs, I identify all the activities that I'm going to do. But for example, if I forget about something or something that was unseen for me or something that was not expected, then I will have a problem in the project if I don't have this kind of reserve. So here I need to put aside small amount of money or big amount of money depending on the project or on how the project is known for us. Or is it a new scope, a new technology, or is it a traditional technology that we are doing a lot? Then we can put amount of money to cover that risk. This reserve is not part of the cost baseline. We said we'll talk about the cost baseline later, so we can explain about it. But it is part of the overall project cost requirements. So if I went to the project management in my company and told them that I need this amount of money for the project, then I should include the management reserves. But here it is, for sure it is included, but I should also include this one. And when we use this, we need to move it to the cost baseline through a change request. What does that mean? That means when I come to the future and I see in the future when I'm executing the project and I see that there is part of this unknown unknowns or unknown risks is used, or now it is not unknown anymore, but it happened, then it is an issue, not a risk. Then I need to move a small amount of money or the amount of money that I use to cover this risk, and I need to add it to the cost baseline. And that should be done through a change request. Change request is something not covered in this course, but I might have some small or some different activities that will lead to change requests, and then we need to focus on them. So this is the difference between contingency reserves and management reserves. I should include both, and I should include the contingency reserves in the cost baseline, but the management reserves shouldn't be added to the cost baseline.